For a lot of you, you may be using a goblet squat. Now, goblet squat can be done with either a dumbbell or a kettlebell. I think it works better with a kettlebell. And the goblet squat is a great exercise. So Jessica's going to demonstrate a goblet squat. So a lot of the same concepts will apply. Now, the weight stays close to the body, and as Jessica goes into that goblet squat, again, most of us would be relatively happy with Jessica squatting like that. Now, if she sets the weight down, if we switch her out to an ultimate sandbag of basically equivalent weight, there you go, Jess. Very giving person that I am. We're going to do what we call our bear hug squat. So I'm going to allow her to do the same thing. Now, what you probably notice right off the bat is how much more vertical her torso becomes. And again, and relax, Jess, there's a difference. And the difference lies in how the weight is absorbed into the body. With the goblet squat, it's very hard to make the weight part of your body, both from where the grip lies and the fact that we can't make it around the implement. As the kettlebell or dumbbell gets bigger, it actually gets a little bit further from our body, which makes it almost disassociate from ourselves and makes it more likely that we actually flex forward a little bit. Now, with the ultimate sandbag, because we can clasp and activate more muscles, we can actually build a better squat pattern. Now, for those of you that are concerned, does that mean you can never goblet squat? I'm going to leave that up to you. If you see a better option with the bear hug squat, I would definitely take it. Now, we will go over in a moment how dimension plays a major role in the bear hug squat, but let's go over some of the nuances that will make it a great exercise. The first thing we have to cover is how to clean it up into position. Now, you notice Jessica did a bear hug clean. Now, if she were just getting the position for a moment, let's go ahead and get in position for bear hug clean, Jess. So come down, just hold. You'll notice she has a nice flat back and her knees are more flexed. Let's come back up, Jess. Now just go pretending you're going to deadlift a weight. Okay? You'll see that she would have less knee bend and she's a little higher up because the starting point of the weight is also higher up. So you have to keep in mind that when you're going from the floor like this, whether it be in the bear hug clean or later on when we talk about shouldering, that you are getting into the lowest position possible. So if you have a client that does not have the hip mobility to get there, you're going to have to raise the implement on a step or some type of tool that helps them get in a better range of motion. Because what you don't want to see, let's go ahead and go hips up and back rounded, something like that. Just because the ultimate sandbag is what a lot of people think of as a soft implement does not mean it's not a relatively heavy load and needs to be respected as so. So when Jessica gets in that nice little position, she's in that hip hinge, she's locking her arms, she's clasping the side, and in one quick motion, she's re-gripping the weight. Very nice, Jess. Let's push the hips, go back, and relax. Now, it's very important how you cue the bear hug clean. This looks like a relatively simple lift, and it is. However, there's a lot of reasons that this can go wrong. For one, because you're not grabbing directly upon the handles, people sort of lose their mind. They don't know how to coordinate the movement. So when people actually grab onto the ultimate sandbag itself, it's a high tendency to just want to bicep curl the weight up. That's not what we want. We want to keep the mindset of that clean that we've done earlier in the series of the hip hinge. So the best cue to give people is that basically you're going to create enough force just to re-grip the weight. Jessica's standing 50% over the weight. If anything, it'd be better for her to stand too far forward than too far back. This starting position will influence the exercise because if Jessica starts too far back and tries to grip on the weight, it's going to tilt forward or she's going to have too much load in front of her. She's not going to get in good position. So make sure you start in good position. Let's see it again, Jess. Palms, she's grabbing, she's low, one quick movement, and see how she reclasps the weight. And hips go back and she releases the weight. If the weight of the ultimate sandbag starts to disperse in the ultimate sandbag, meaning goes from one side to the other side and the middle becomes soft, you're going to want to reshift it out. Or if there's more weight to one side or the other side, you're going to want to make sure that the heavier side is away from the person or the lighter side is behind the person. If the heavier side is behind them, it's going to be much more difficult to lift the weight. That's why sometimes after you do a few repetitions, people feel like they can't lift the weight they've just been lifting because the weight has shifted upon them. Because what Jessica wants to do is just pretend you're holding for a moment. When she's here, you see what she just did? She's going to pretend she's pulling her elbows apart, that she's trying to pull the ultimate sandbag apart. When she does that, that creates a ton of lat engagement in her upper back. Where people have problems in this lift tends to not be in the lower body as much as in the upper body, because they don't have good tension and they don't have good strength in that upper back. And for us, again, the squat is an example of a full body exercise. So it's great if it builds the legs, but if you can't put it together, there's definitely limitations in the movement. So having that tension is going to be something Jessica thinks throughout. Now, if you had more of the weight above the midline, it'd be a little bit lighter, but sometimes that irritates people because they can't see the horizon. So generally, that position Jessica had, about 50-50, works perfectly. So let's get back in that position again, Jessica. Nice. So she's going to pull the elbows apart. She's going to push the knees out, slowly descend, hold, and then she's going to drive through her heels to come back up. Let's do one more. Push out, hold, drive up, and relax. What we want to see when we're coming up from the squat is basically a rocket, not an airplane. So what do I mean? So if Jessica, just go ahead and pretend you're coming down. If Jessica is an airplane, she leans her hips up and then comes up in the movement. That's usually a sign she's not using her hamstring and glutes optimally. One of the reasons we have her squatting so low is not just the hip, ankle, and knee mobility, but as she gets deeper in the squat, she's able to activate her hamstrings and glutes more, which protects the knees. And we always want to activate the posterior chain as much as possible. So Jessica, when she comes up from the movement, just again, pretend you're holding it, wants to come as vertically up as possible. That's allowing her to maximally utilize her hip extensors. So again, watch for that compensation. A lot of times, the reason that people start to become the airplane is because they've lost tension in their upper back. You see a lot of this flexion. All right, let's try it again, Jessica. We'll just do a few more reps. Again, nice pull apart, knees go out. Let's see that rocket. Beautiful. One more time. Tension apart, rocket, and relax. Good. So once someone's gaining some proficiency in the bear hug squat, what do we do next? Instead of just changing load, what I like to do is change time under tension. One of my favorite things to do is just eliminate elastic energy in the movement. So we can do that by giving her up to a 4-second pause. Now you can go above 4 seconds, but I tend to find it be a little counterproductive as people get too tired in that bottom position. So I'm going to have Jessica do a rep again, and we're going to show, I'm going to have you take a 4-second pause in the bottom. Now it's not a relaxed 4 seconds. She's going to come down. She's going to keep tension in her upper back. She's going to be pushing into her feet. She's going to be driving her knees out. 3, 4, drive. Nice. And relax. And when we do that, what you end up finding is that it's more drive through those hamstring and glutes. So now you can incrementally introduce that. So if someone's just coming up and down at first, have them hold it for 2 seconds. They get good at that. Add 3, 4. Once they're able to get 4 good seconds, and let me tell you, a 4-second pause in that bear hug squat is quite fatiguing. If they can do that for 10 repetitions, they're definitely ready to either go heavier or go to the next progression. Okay? The bear hug squat is a tremendous exercise. It tends to get overlooked because it seems rather simple, but it's one of those that's really going to make your client successful. It's going to build super baseline strength and give you the greatest capacity to go heavier. Because our ultimate sandbags at 150 pounds feel heavy, you'll be surprised how much full body work a bear hug squat with heavier ultimate sandbags really does feel. In a moment, we're going to talk about a different aspect of the ultimate sandbag bear hug squat, which is the role of dimension in the movement.